I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex, and today we're going to be looking at wellness NPC level, talking about the overall winners class, go over those placings, why they landed the way they did, and ultimately what it means for you as a wellness competitor out here 2025, trying to do your best on stage, and that's what I'm doing all this time on this channel. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. If you're a repeat viewer, I appreciate you. Give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment for the algo, and we'll be right on with some good other content for you, all right? So this is from NPC GRL PWR, great event, and basically here we're looking at the overall winners class, wellness class C. This is Camilla. She's our class winner and overall champion. We have second place Melissa, and we have third place Ali. So let's take a look at these three, talk about those placings and why they landed the way they did. Okay, so for Camilla, overall, good shoulder shape here, pretty on par with wellness division. As we know, wellness, you want to see lower body dominance, okay? That doesn't mean, however, you don't train shoulders. You're not doing any shoulder work, right? Got to be training the shoulders, got to have that fullness up top, got to have that involved. You just want to make sure your lower body definitely looks dominant, and for her, it absolutely does. We get the fullness up top in the shoulders, the shape, taper into a very narrow waist here, really key and critical for wellness, and then lower body wise, we can see definitely a lot of glute shape, a lot of hamstring shape, quad shape, this sweeping effect. Overall, very complete lower body dominant wellness look right here. Conditioning wise, she's right there, exactly basically what you would want to see for conditioning, where we can see a tight midsection here, flat stomach, maybe a little bit of separation up in the shoulders, and just a little in the quads. Nothing too crazy, nothing too, grainy, nothing too soft either. Very complete wellness look for her from the front. We'll see how the back looks when we get there. For Melissa, Melissa definitely instantly, you can tell a little bit more of a shoulder dominant look, shoulder forward, right? Could be a little tad too much for wellness division. So, that's obviously maybe indicating what could move her down into this placing a bit. Obviously, I don't know anyone's exact feedback, but from what I can see, that is a little bit of an upper body dominant look right there with the shoulders and even into the bicep and tricep just a tad here. I would also probably, mix up the posing a bit, things like that we could always factor in, but this does not make the lower body look overly dominant here, and it really does kind of showcase the shoulders a bit more, and that can probably not help you in the wellness division, considering judges want to see the lower body being very, very dominant compared to the upper. Looking over here, third place Ali, we see some good shoulder shape overall, bit more into the bicep and tricep here, good taper into the midsection. Lower body does appear to be pretty developed here. Glutes, quads, and hamstrings all there. For me, she looks a little bit symmetrical, right? Not as much of that lower body dominance effect. Maybe needs a little bit more muscle mass overall. Also is showing just a tad softer than the other two in this grouping here. So I would say maybe all of those things combined there could be a factor. Wellness, you want to make sure you have that size lower body. It looks clearly dominant, and you know exactly where you're going to stand on stage when you get there. From the back, full story is always told, and I always say, everything I say from the front, it's just what that front's looking like. When we get to the back, we get the full, complete deal. So Camilla here, a little bit of that shoulder from the back, just what you want to see in wellness. Not too much, not too little, just right there. Tapers in at the waist, and mostly what we're looking at is the lower body dominance effect in this group. So overall, upper glutes developed here, glute fullness. We got a slight separation between the glute hamstring tie-in. Very dramatic sweep in the quads from the back, which really just indicates how much size she has, and hamstrings to match. So it is a very complete, dominant look for wellness division here for her for NPC level. And, wellness has kind of been defaulting back to its roots in a lot of ways, where the mass monster, super big shoulder, super big lower body, that looks just out at this point. It's not in at all. Wellness is really coming back to the roots it was in 2020, where it's a lot of fullness, a lot of shape, a lot of size, not overdoing it, not overdone anywhere, not overdone with the condition, the size, or anything else. So she really does nail this look, and that is a very, very complete wellness physique, and thus, she wins her class, wins the overall. Looking over at Melissa here, we do get a little bit more of the shoulders, which could indicate to me they're a bit big. Taper in at the waist here, all good. Lower body wise, we're not getting the same amount of development or dimensionality to it, right? So upper glute appears to be a little bit underdone. We're not really getting any tie-in going on here. So that's more depth from the glute muscle that needs to be created. And we do get some good quad sweep, but the hamstrings really not coming out much either here. So it's a combo of maybe some tighter conditioning lower body, and also just getting that 3D effect from the development of the glutes, which really is key and critical for wellness. You want to have that fullness. If you don't, it's not going to ever score you as high as it could have. For Ali, a lot of the same things going on here, right? We get a little bit of that shoulder, all good there. Lower body wise, very big quads, a lot of development coming from the quads, but the glutes don't really match as well. They're not showing up to the same level of symmetry. Maybe some more upper glute needed, more overall glute fullness, pull it through, but realistically, she does have an overall showcase pretty well wellness look right there. Let's move now into our fourth and our fifth. So as we go into the lower groups here, fourth and fifth, you get a better insight of really where this criteria is heading. By the way, if you want help trying to figure out, your best wellness look, do my trial, do my free trial. Type it in on your phone right now. Grab it, teamfflex.com/7-day trial. Train you free for 7 days. Get invited into my platform. I can give you feedback on your physique, tell you what to work on, design you training sessions, anything you want. There's no money, no card info, nothing. You just come do that anytime. It's a really cool opportunity. So check that out if you have not yet. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. So in this group here, we have now joining Rebecca here in fourth place, okay? And then we have over here Kaylee in fifth, all right? And we're going to continue to just look at some more of this class here and dive into a little bit more of what's going on. So for Rebecca, shoulder shape overall good, a little bit wider in the waist. This does happen depending on how you pose, but some athletes may just have that too. It is a factor though, something you want to note. Lower body wise for me, we got some good shape, but it's not as much size, right? So not as much size coming from the lower body here overall, and she does look, based on this post, just a tad symmetrical compared to Camilla here, who is very lower body dominant, and definitely a little bit more shapely as far as the posing goes. So that's a big factor for sure. Kaylee over here, good shoulder shape, tapers in at the waist pretty well. Lower body's here. For her, it's a bit of a symmetrical look where the lower body is not as developed. It needs more muscle just overall in the glutes and the quads, and then also needs to pull in this conditioning just a little bit, showing up a little bit softer than would be ideal in this grouping, right? So I think that's what we're seeing there. Now let's take a look from the back, and we'll get the full story from this group. And what we can see here is overall, Rebecca, good shoulder shape here from the back, and tapers in pretty well. Lower body wise though, this is not as tight as it needs to be realistically, conditioning wise, and also we need just more kind of glute development to match the quad. She's got a lot of quad dominance, a lot of hamstrings. It doesn't really pull through together to match with the glutes as much, because she needs a little bit more glute development there and just a tad tighter overall conditioning to pull it all through. Same thing going on for Kaylee. Realistically, we get the good shoulder shape, taper in here, not as much muscle going on, and needs to be tighter. So more glute development, more hamstrings, more quads to create that outer sweep look, that tie-in look, all of that, and to pull that condition just a little bit tighter. So wellness, realistically, very much so going back to where these roots lie. One more competitor for us to look at here. We have Lisa in sixth place here in this group. So Lisa definitely has a lot of upper body development. We can see that she looks very developed up top in the shoulders and in the arms, very developed through the midsection, the waist, and into the lower body, honestly. But this is a lot more muscle than wellness is typically looking for, right? And we will see that play out across the board. She looks pretty symmetrical here. It comes together right there to showcase that. But it's just a lot of muscle on that frame, and judges are not really favoring that super much in wellness at this point anymore. Shoulder shape from the back, overall tapers in. Lower body, definitely a lot of size going on in the lower body, but it's not really pulling together the wellness shape as much. So that's really kind of what ties it all together. That's what looks like our top five, and top six in other words. And great placings, great job for all these ladies here. Very good representation of what you're going to see on the NPC levels. Realistically, we are going back to the roots of wellness in a lot of what's going on these wellness stages right now. That symmetrical, shapely look, the lower body dominance, the not overdone conditioning, but the shape being everything right now. Not too much muscle, not too much mass, none of that stuff. That's what we're seeing play out, and that's a really good thing. I'm glad to see it for wellness, and I think it's going to be a great direction. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want more wellness, comment it. Thanks for watching. Coach Ryan is out.